Hey, hope you're well. In this one, I'm taking a very quick look at the Parkside 12 volt multi-tool. I've got a few of these Parkside 12 volt tools now. Yes, I am Parkside and proud of it. And the multi-tool is just the latest edition. There is another one tool in the Parkside 12 volt range that I use a lot as well. I'll fess up to which one that is a little bit later on. If you're not familiar with them, multi-tools have a blade that oscillates. Blades usually spin like on a circular saw or a turbo saw, or go up and down like on a jigsaw or reciprocating saw, but multi-tools oscillate like they're waving at you with a cutting edge on the top. This means that they're great for plunge cuts in the middle of a big board, walls or ceilings, or tricky cuts in awkward spaces. And while they don't really do anything that can't be achieved with other tools and methods, they're just much easier to use and typically give a better finish too. The original multi-tool came from German manufacturer Fine in the late 1960s and was designed as a medical tool for removing plaster casts. Those grit-edged blades that we'd use for removing grout from between tiles would cut through the plaster with little risk of cutting the patient if they went a little bit too deep, though I imagine they'd give you a nasty burn. The original medical products became the Fine Multimaster and Supercut that we know today, and the patent expired on those tools around the same time as the Traxor patents did, 2008, 2009 or thereabouts. As I said, multi-tools don't generally make cuts that can't be achieved in other ways, but they do make them much more easily. And the tipping point for me was back in the handyman days when I had to remove a completely sodden plywood bath panel. If it had been MDF, I probably could have pulled it apart with my bare hands, but the plywood wouldn't play nicely. I got through it in the end, but it took me forever, so I went out and bought a Multimaster the very next day. I replaced that with a Makita version that I used for a long time, but for the last few years, it's just been sat in a box under the bench. And when my son bought his house, it was one of the tools that I passed along to him. In fact, I've just done some alcove units for him, and we used the Makita to cut off all the skirting boards. Keep an eye out for those videos that will be along shortly. Anyway, my son had a Makita, and almost immediately I needed to chase the grout from between some tiles to fix a leak in a bathroom, so I figured I needed a replacement. I like the idea of cordless, but my lower voltage tools are all blue Bosch 10.8 volt originally, now called 12 volt. And I've had their 10.8 volt multi-tool before, but I've never had anything that sucked the life out of a battery faster. So I was a bit leery of going that way again. The Milwaukee 12 volt looks good and were decently priced as a bare tool, but I don't have any other Milwaukee 12 volt tools, and the full bundle with batteries and a charger was getting on for about 150 quid or so at the time, which was a bit rich for a tool that I just don't use very often. So I did what everybody does and bought a cheap corded one off Amazon, and while it did the job fine, not just the grout removal, I also had to replace a bathroom extractor fan soon after. While it did those without any real problems, I really hated having to deal with the cable and the extension cord in those tight, awkward spaces. So when this Parkside cordless came along at just £25, it was a bit of a no-brainer. By the way, I want to give a big shout out to my YouTube pal Rob at Weekend Shedhead for highlighting this in a recent video. Be sure to check out Rob's channel for all things Parkside and more besides. I'll link him up down below. Anyway, I found myself in the middle of Lidl, and there this was, so naturally I had to have one, and I've got to say it is absolutely fantastic. Your 25 quid doesn't just get you the bare tool though, it is a complete starter set with a 2 amp battery, charger, a saw blade, a scraper tool, a detailed sander, backing pad, and a few sheets of abrasive too. And because it's on the 12 volt Parkside platform, it's compatible with all the other 12 volt batteries as well, including the bigger 4 amp units if you need a bit more fuel in the tank. I've talked about a few of the 12 volt Parkside tools before. I'll link that video up down below. And I will just say that although they appear very similar visually to the 12 volt Bosch platform, they are unfortunately not compatible with the 12 volt Bosch tools. It's a great shame, as the Parkside 12 volt batteries are really great value. There's a quick release blade change, by the way, that uses the now standard Bosch style pins and slots on the blade, and the horseshoe shaped blades fit without any problem. If you're using original Bosch blades with the ring instead of the horseshoe, you'll need to remove and refit the center nut, but that's the only inconvenience, if you can call it that. I've used the multi-tool for all kinds recently, cutting up waste pipe when I was fitting a utility sink in the new workshop, and cutting rebates, fitting new locks to the doors. There'll be a new workshop update video coming soon, by the way. And the Parkside multi-tool has performed perfectly. The battery lasts well and charges fast when you need it. It is only 12 volts, so you probably won't want to use it for cutting down your front door, but for all other lighter weight trimming tasks that you'd use a small cordless multi-tool for, then it's been absolutely fine. Now, I said earlier on that I've got a few of the Parkside 12 volt range, and the one that's really impressed me, at least until I got my hands on the multi-tool, has been this one, the Lidl Parkside 12 volt mini grinder, fitted with a metal cutting disc. This has completely replaced a hacksaw for me. My metalworking only extends to cutting the heads off the occasional bolt or trimming the odd one down to size, and for that kind of work it's fantastic. I don't even need to rummage around for a file to clean up the threads afterwards, and the fact that it's cordless, just sitting there on the shelf alongside all the others, always ready to go, means that they're typically the tools that I reach for first. Even the usual moan about cordless tools still needing a dust extraction hose fitting doesn't really hold here, because the dust collection on multi-tools and grinders is generally nothing special. But if it concerns you, then of course be sure to work outdoors and always wear appropriate PPE. But that's the 25 quid Lidl Parkside 12 volt cordless multi-tool starter set. I genuinely can't think of a single reason why you wouldn't buy one at this price, even if you've already got one. The battery, charger and blades alone probably make it worthwhile. Anyway, I'll call this one done for now. Thanks so much for taking a look. Who knows where I'll be next? Workshop, update or alcove units? Tell you what, you tell me what you'd rather see, and I'll catch you next time. All right, take care.